What is going on, everybody? Welcome to an all-new episode of TAETRO Talks, our weekly talk show here on 343 TV, where sometimes we have some amazing guests from the music industry, like we've had other content creators like Rachel K. Collar, Sanjay C., Sarah the Instrumentalist, Gnarly Beats. We had Laura Escaday last week, so if you missed that interview, you should go back and check that out, especially on the anniversary of one of Kanye's greatest albums, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Laura did string arrangements for that tour, is what I learned during that interview, and she worked with Kanye and the Good Music team on some stuff, so that was a very good interview last week. But anyway, today is not an interview show. Well, it's kind of an interview show, but you are the guest. So you actually have the ability to call into today's show and ask your questions around home studio music production, creativity, music business related things, anything that you think that I can answer basically is something you can call in and ask about. So I put a Zoom link in the chat. Let me go ahead and throw that back in there as well. I'll throw it in again. And what you do is you click that Zoom link and you end up in a waiting room and you are in line for being on the show, for calling in. So you can click that Zoom link, get put into a waiting room, so it's not like you're immediately on the call or anything. And then I will take the calls in order that they show up. And they won't see you or anything. So if you're self-conscious about that, don't worry too much. People will only be able to hear your voice. You'll ask her a question, we'll have a nice conversation, and then we'll go on to the next call. And that's kind of the format for today's show. Today, I should say, for 343 TV listeners, which I see a few people watching over on the 343 Labs channel, youtube.com/343 Labs. I see John H. Kingston III from Rockaway Park, TW Industries temporarily in Fairfax, Virginia. Very interesting. We got Jayon Baby and Enigmatic Onion. What is going on, my friends, over on the 343 Labs chat? I say that because this will be the last live show this week for 343 TV. We'll be taking a little break. We've got Thanksgiving over here in the US. So that's about it. So this is our last show, live show for the week. But there is going to be a huge sale, Black Friday sale at 343labs.com if you're interested in some of the courses and if you've liked some of the presenters on 343 TV. So click the link in the description, 343labs.com. You can get up to 40% off a course. These are 12-session courses taught by amazing music producers, music performers, electronic musicians. People who have been doing this for a while, people who are charting on Beatport, people who have toured the world, signed to big labels, people who are Ableton certified trainers, been teaching for a long time. So 12-session courses with some experts at 343labs.com. This is the biggest sale we've ever done. So 40% off over there. But I'm really excited. The waiting room is starting to fill up. Throwing the link in the chat one more time in case anybody missed it. All you got to do is get Zoom either on your computer or on your phone or whatever it may be. I'm going to add to my Twitter thread so that people can know that I'm live right now. And go ahead and just get in that waiting room. Be patient because I'm not going to take your call right away. I'm going to take them in the order they appear. Adding to this tweet. And I see lots of cool folks in my chat, of course. But if you are in my chat, please just open another tab real quick and subscribe to 343 Labs on YouTube because we're live there every single day. It's not just for the talk show. They've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday shows with great instructors. So you should go ahead and subscribe to that channel so you don't miss all the cool shows like Daltrick or Claire, who is an amazing Ableton certified trainer, amazing Ableton live performer, is on Mondays, me on Tuesdays, Louis Beck on Wednesdays, Maxwell doing music theory on Thursdays, Abe Duque doing production basics on Fridays, John Selway doing techno Saturdays. It's amazing. Just go subscribe over there if you're on my channel at the moment. But I'll say hello to those of you who are in my chat at the moment. Suman was the first one here today. Hello, welcome. Kaval was second. Nice to see you. Hello. Superman, what's good? Julian, hello. My mom and my dad are here. Launchpad covers, this person. Do people still do Launchpad covers in 2020? Jonathan Mueller, hello. Nina, Saf, Skate Alex, EMD, Soaring Skies, Samuel Messiah. Can't wait for his segment today. Who am I missing? Suzuki, Patrick, Julian Mendoza. What is going on? That's an epic name, my friend, I have to say. Enigmatic Onions in both chats. Oh my gosh. Soaring Skies. I think I said that already. The Lua Learner. I'm interested in that. Lua Learner says, I can't find my PS2. I'm sorry. I hope you find it soon. We're on 5 now, but PS2 lives on, I should say. Luis, hello. Anders, what's going on? Anders asks, how do I get through with my question? Don't have Zoom and can't call. Will this chat line do? Yeah, so we're going to take calls from Zoom, but if I see interesting questions that I think the whole community can benefit from in the regular chat, you can feel free to ask them there. I just ask that you write my name, like TAETRO, in it because it highlights it orange for me, and that lets me know that you're talking to me. Maya and Max Music, hello, nice to see you. Subhash is here. As usual, Jay Scholes, what's good? And then my chat just scrolled automatically, so I lost my place. Cody Sense, Sean McCann, listeners, Saharsh, Heroic XG. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I apologize. If you spam my chat, I'm automatically hiding your messages, so don't even bother. Hari Krishnan, what's going on? Nice to see you. And Arjun Musicals. All right, I think I've named everybody. Jendal, Raj O. Thank you all for being here. I'm so stoked. We haven't done a call-in show in a while, so I'm excited that we can do this today. I'm going to take some calls. Shall we do it? Let's do it. So make sure you mute the stream. If I'm taking your call, make sure you mute the stream because there will be some echo. And I also need your help, chat, to let me know how the levels are because I can turn the caller volume up. I can also turn my volume up, but hopefully everything is good. Pau Hatan is going to be joining us for our first call today. I've got my hand on this knob here. Pau Hatan, can you hear me? Oh, what's going on? You have a different username every time I see you. What is up, dude?
Hi.
You guys got to see this. This dude's got his Control Freak Club swag on. I think I can actually show it. Do you mind if I show it on stream?
Sure.
Oh, actually, let me see if I can plug this in really quick without messing everything up. What is going on, man? How are you?
Good. Hi. How are you?
I'm great. Your room's a mess. What's going on here? All right. Nice. I have to change my output device real quick because I just messed up my whole system here. All right. Fixed it. Can you talk one more time?
Hi.
Perfect. All right. Audio is back. All right. I'm going to show off. You're going to be on the stream so everybody can see. I think if I hit this button. Yes. All right. Show off the hoodie. Show off the hoodie. Epic. That's so sick. That's dope. Well, I'm excited that you're here. Thanks for calling in. How have things been? How has your music production journey been? Maybe catch people up because you've called into the show before, so maybe some folks will remember you.
Yeah, so I called in just noticed that. Never mind. So yeah, I called in a long time ago, like a few months ago, I think. And so I haven't been able to call again since school started back in like late August. But during this like Thanksgiving break for Thanksgiving week, I'm off. I don't have school, so
awesome. Are you gonna make lots of music during this week with your time off?
Oh, definitely. I already made one song.
Look at you.
Like I think yesterday I finished it. So
cool.
And also I'm gonna try and make this a lot of music over the Thanksgiving and like Christmas.
That's the way to do it. That's exactly what I would do when I was your age. Take advantage of these little vacations and just like go head first into making as much music as possible because it's really hard to do when school is happening.
That's how I even started into music production. I started with during the summer when I had the most time off.
Totally, yeah. So what's your question today, Daniel?
How did you start into making content on YouTube?
That is a good question. I've been making content for YouTube or on YouTube like way longer than this channel has actually been out. So I used to do like singer-songwriter stuff and I would record covers, like playing guitar and singing, and I would put those on YouTube. This is like before YouTube was like really a big thing, like before people had like channels that they would sustain and stuff like that. But so I started doing like covers like that, and then me and my friend would do some skits and stuff. Like we would have shows, like we would go play shows places, and to promote the shows, we would make little funny videos and put those on YouTube. And then for the TAETRO stuff, it was kind of like I just followed that model, but I was doing like electronic music performances. So I started like just filming myself performing, which was great. And then when I wanted to start building my audience, I started talking to the camera and talking to the audience about how I made those performances. So that's kind of that was my start. Started with some live performances and then gradually moved into, you know, like talking more and like giving tutorials and things like that.
Yeah, because I want to soon, not like in a week or two, maybe in a few months or something, start maybe a YouTube channel or
You
something.
should. You should start like as early as possible, because the sooner you start, it's not even about like building your audience right away. It's about getting good at making content, and then also just like building it. The audience is so secondary. Like you have to build the skills around like making videos and making content first. And if you do that before you have a really big audience, you can make more mistakes and you can have more happy accidents. So like even what you're doing now, like if you just have like this quick little Thanksgiving vacation and then upcoming like the holiday vacation, you should just like start filming a little bit of like what you do and almost use that as like a video diary of like your process of making music and learning to make music. You don't have to be like the epic like DJ, like you don't have to be Marshmello to start making content. You know what I mean? Like you can start right away, like at the stage that you're at, and just show your process. And really, like if you just filmed yourself like learning this part over here, the next day film yourself like recording this part, and then you just put some voiceover over it, or you just talk to the camera and say, yeah, today I'm learning about chords. This doesn't sound really good, but like it's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm learning Ableton Live, etc., etc. If you do that, I think that is a good way to start. Don't wait too long to start. Like I know you're focused on learning the music and learning music production, which is definitely important. But if you start documenting that process, I think you'll be happy that you did in the future.
Yeah, but when I do start it, I
Mm-hmm.
want to focus more on music than as in like you do
Like
like
tutorials.
the yeah, and like the Akai versus the
Sure.
Novation,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
I want to focus, if I ever do that, I want to focus more on like um my music and
Totally.
not more like, I still want to try doing like tutorials and stuff like you do,
Hmm.
but more um like more music.
Sure. And there's like 100 ways to do that too. But one thing to remember, like, and this is for all the people who are interested in creating content and interested in just being musicians, but using social media and content to promote their music, is like there are millions of people out there trying to do the exact same thing that you're trying to do. Like, if we all just want to be like famous musicians and just make music, there's a million people trying to do that. And what can separate us from the millions of people that are trying to do the same thing is getting our personalities out there in some way, like getting who we are out there so people can connect with us and we can build community around ourselves as artists, not just our music. Because if there's millions of choices out there for people to listen to in music, like it's likely that people are going to find something else out there. But if they come to you for your music and you're doing some cool kind of video where you're either explaining your process or you're talking about your music, or you're showing like other aspects of your life in addition to music, like things like that, that helps build up your personality and builds up your personal brand so that people come back for you, not just your music. But I totally appreciate that, like wanting to focus on the music. What I say is just find a way to have your personality come out during that. Think about that.
Yeah. And also what you said about focusing more on the content than the like people watching.
Sure.
I just thought this when you said that. It's like, and think about the music, not the people.
Yeah, think about the music, not the people. Like the thing about it is, like, if you're making the music, like if you're making what naturally comes out and you're having fun and you feel good and you're happy, if you're doing that and you're also documenting the process, people notice that. Like if you're being authentically you and loving what you're doing, people see that and are drawn to that. People are drawn to people who are super positive and love what they're doing. So, if you focus on that, the people will come like automatically. Whereas a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, this social media technique, that social media technique, gain my audience, whatever. No, do what you do, have a lot of fun, and people will start showing up if you're being authentically yourself. And the right people will show up. That's the thing. The people will be showing up for you.
Hmm. And I really don't want to make music for people or for just fame.
Sure.
I want to do it because I like it.
Of course. And that is the if what you just said is true and you really, really believe it in your head and in your heart, you will, like, you're very young right now, but you will go on to lead a very happy, successful life, because your idea of what success is being happy and doing what you love. And that always has to be the North Star. When the North Star becomes, oh, I want to make music, but I want it to get a ton of likes, or, oh, I want to make music, but I want it to get a ton of plays, or I want to get on the radio. When that becomes the North Star, when that gets like really cloudy, people start to get sad, because that's not a surefire way. That's not like a sure thing every time. You're not always going to drop a track or a video that gets a ton of likes or a ton of views, etc. But if you love the process and you love just making music and it makes you happy, and that is your marker of success, then you can't go wrong. Like, it's all on you. It's not dependent on other people. So like, keep that mindset. Don't lose that mindset.
Yeah, thanks. And also one last thing
Yeah.
that before I finish, I just have my other monitor here on the side, and I just looked at the chat, and yes, just to everyone watching, Complete Start is really good. It's the, I think, only plugin I use right now, and it's really good.
And it's free, right?
Yes.
Yes. There's so
Comes
much.
with and it comes with tons and tons of free plugins.
Yes, you heard it. Recommended from Daniel himself. Go get Complete Start for free. Daniel, thank you so much for calling. Keep us posted on like how productive you're being over this vacation and all that. And I hope you're able to call into the show.
Yeah.
Next time we do a call-in show.
Plus, my birthday is next week.
Happy early birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. Enjoy your little break for Thanksgiving vacation. And maybe next time we'll talk, it will be, holiday Christmas vacation.
Yeah, I think it's in like 2 weeks.
It's so fast. All right. Have a good one, man.
Thanks.
Peace
Bye.
out. We love chat. We love when the young people have a better mindset than some of the adults. Like the happiness thing. Like, of course, we make art for people to consume, right? We want other people to like our art. We want other people to consume our art and feel something, whatever. Or else we would just do it in a bubble and nobody would see us. We wouldn't make videos at all. Or maybe you really enjoy videos and you just like it. But there is some aspect of like how our art is received that kind of drives us forward. Of course, that's like very human. We want to be accepted. We want to be popular, quote unquote. But if you're a North Star, that can all be there. Like, oh, of course I care if people watch my videos, if people receive my videos well or my music well. But the North Star is always, am I doing something that makes me happy? Get that to be your North Star and you will be much happier. We have a lot of people in the waiting room all of a sudden. So I want to keep rolling. And I thank you all. Big Bean says, new haircut, freshest haircut on 343 TV. So you better watch out. But yes, let's all be happy. I'm going to keep going through the calls. Next up is Sohum. Let's get it, Sohum. And while this person is joining, I will read this. Oh, they've already joined. Suzuki says, I'm a professional classical pianist and composer. Found you here, really enjoy your videos. Would like to get into film music production. Where do I start? Pick a program. So I use Ableton Live. I think it's a great program. Get some good plugins for cinematic sounds. Complete, or like Native Instruments has some good ones. And then get yourself a controller. If you're a classical pianist, get like a Keylab or something from Arturia. Very good keyboards. Sohum, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and then you'll be live on the show. And you can go ahead and join.
Hey.
Hello, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on.
So I just had a quick question.
Let's do it.
So I see in your backdrop you have a bunch of MIDI controllers. So my quick question would be, if you had to choose a MIDI controller, what would it be?
Like if I could only have one?
If you were on a deserted island and you only had one MIDI controller.
Yeah, that's tough. I get asked this question a lot, and it's very hard to decide. But I think I would probably pick the Launch Key Mini because Ableton Live is my DAW of choice, and it's got pads, keys, and knobs. and I would like all three of those things, and it's got great live integration with like record button, all that. So Desert Island is probably maybe not necessarily the Launch Key Mini, but like maybe like my Launch Key 37, because I'm on a desert island. Maybe I want some more keys. Yeah, I think that's what I would pick.
Yeah, cool. Honestly, I've just got into Ableton. I just got Ableton. So I'm just trying to, play around with the software, and it's a
lot, right? Like it's so much
from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks for having me on. I actually got to go.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you for calling in. Call in another time when you have more time.
Sure. All right.
Good luck. Good call from Soham. The MIDI controller question, it doesn't like frustrate me, but what's happening here in OBS? It doesn't frustrate me, but it's hard to explain to folks. Like, I get all this stuff from free for the most part. So like I'm getting it all for free, and I think they're all great tools. But it's hard for me to I can still have an objective opinion, but I don't want people to be confused. Like, I'm not going out and buying all these controllers. Like, that would be crazy. Like, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I obviously wouldn't have all these controllers. But like part of like my job, I guess, as doing this channel is like reviewing them and comparing them. So that's the real reason. Max Wild says he's getting his haircut next week, so I better watch out. Watch out, Max Wild. Max Wild teaches music theory Thursdays on 343 TV, so you should all tune into that. Go watch previous episode. Should we go ahead and take another call? Yes, I think we should. Let's get Raj in here. Suppy bro. Here we go. Beisha is here. Hello, Beisha. Thank you for being in the chat. What's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, dude?
It's going well. Look at your like bike and guitar in the background. You got it all.
Yeah, this is the setup. It's in all my videos now too.
That's great. How are you doing, man? For those of you who don't know, we were doing one-on-one lessons for a bit. So, how are things going since our last lesson?
Really well, actually. So
great.
Yeah. My background is in guitar, but I've kind of been on and off with it, and then I picked up the music production in July. I just want to catch everyone up. Yeah, the one-on-ones were really helpful. All your videos are super helpful. I decided to do Beatober, and I made 3 videos so far.
Nice.
And each one got better and better.
That's the way it goes. Now, just like look at that on a long timeline. If you did 3 and each one got better and better, imagine like number 30, number 300. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like looking way far out, how much better you'll actually get.
Yeah, and like making them good enough for a video too has like, already the next song I'm working on is already just better. So it's pretty awesome.
That's
so
why
I have
people
a ton of questions from that.
Yeah, that's why folks just got to keep making stuff. No, it's a great point. You just keep making stuff. Like even if the thing you're making today isn't the best thing ever, the thing you make tomorrow will be. But you have to make the thing today to get there. That's like the thing I talk about all the time. But let's get into your questions.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it limited.
Sure.
After the 3rd video, someone reached out to me and was like, how much are you selling your beats for?
Wow, amazing.
And I know the guy, or like I knew him previously, and his music is actually pretty legit. And like he showed me some of his rap stuff. I met with him yesterday. We played some of my stuff, and like we're both feeling it. And I'm like, I had no idea what to say though for like the pricing and whatnot.
Sure. Well, it's
I was wondering,
it's like a value proposition, right? Like it's different. Like if somebody has like a big built up brand and they were like this huge beat maker, obviously they're going to charge a lot because like working with that beat maker means a lot. But if this person just like loves your vibe and loves your music and you vibe with them and you love their music, like you just got to come up with like an easy value proposition. Like think about your time first of all. Like if you could eventually like give up some work, some like quote unquote real job to do this instead, how much would you charge an hour to like compensate for that? But then also like, what does it mean to you in this moment? Like, is it more important to you to start working with more artists, like maybe at like a cheaper monetary value to get your name out there more, to get more like work under your belt, to get more experience working with an artist and getting to know that process? I feel like that's where you would be right now in your stage of like the money really doesn't matter. Just make it so that it's like worth your time, and worth your time can mean monetary, but it can also be split between like monetary and like all that experience you're gonna gain from this. And if not to mention, like if you're having fun and if you really do vibe with this artist and this is going to be an ongoing relationship that you both can benefit from, that's something to think about too. So I can't put a number on it for you because only you know like what your time is worth and what this experience is worth, but definitely think about that. You don't want to price yourself too high where you can't even work with the artist because they can't afford it and you lose out on that experience. And you don't want to price it too low so that you end up like resenting the experience and you're putting in too much time and too much work and you feel like you're not benefiting enough. So just like assess the value of both the experience and the time you're putting in and figure out like what's a good price for that, like what's a good price for that time, and do compare it to your current work of like how much you get paid per hour now or something like that. Even though like, because if you've been in your job for X amount of years and you have X amount of experience, you obviously command a higher hourly rate or a higher salary, but whereas if you just kind of started beat making and this is your first artist collaboration, you would price that differently. Then it's just like going to get a job for the first time. You get paid a lower rate and then year after year you hopefully get raises as you do better and better. Just think about it like that. Experience, money, somewhere in between, there's value there that you can take from it.
Right. No, that makes total sense. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. And when I was researching online, I kind of went down a rabbit hole of like, oh, should I lease it to him? Do I want him to have exclusive rights? And I was like, I feel like that's just confusing me. I just want to.
And it becomes a barrier. Yeah, there is the thing about that too. Like, being too like technical and being like, oh, is it a lease? Is it a limited this? Is it a limited that? Like that is a barrier to doing something great. Whereas like if you come to trust this person and you get a working relationship with this person, you guys can just come to a working understanding like, okay, like we both own this thing and, you know, if it blows up and becomes the number one on the Billboard charts, we're gonna, you know, figure it out. But you have to build up that trust to do that. And also like you're building up this barrier and that not to like, this isn't meant to be discouraging. It's just meant to be realistic. But chances are it's not going to be number one on the Billboard charts for your first collaboration with this artist. And that's okay. Right. It still might be something great that gets some attention and provides value to you. But the legal stuff won't really matter at the level you're working at right now. So don't let that be a barrier to a great collaboration.
Right. Yeah, that's really good advice.
I always like that comes to like anything that comes to like some super technical like music production and mixing stuff. It's the same thing. Like, oh, I'm not a great mix engineer, but I'm not going to let that stop me from putting out music if I can't have a perfect mix. You know, it's like, oh, I'm not going to put out music because I didn't dot the I's and cross the T's on the contract or the lease thing or whatever. Like, don't let super technical stuff be barriers. A lot of people, especially at the early stages, do that because they want to do things the right way, when really you don't really have to worry about the right way until it matters. And you'll know when it matters. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We gonna keep rolling? Yeah, keep going.
For sure. Yeah, I guess another problem I came across was like on Instagram trying to promote myself and posting. Mm-hmm. Like I was trying to post every 2 weeks a video just because that was easiest for me with, you know, my current level. But what would you suggest in the meantime? Like I post a video and I'm like, oh, I want everyone to see this. Now I don't want to post anything else. So I'm not sure if
that's the opposite.
I keep posting random stuff.
Yes, that's the opposite of what you should do. You should post as much as possible because the way Instagram works, right? It's like a news feed, and it's not even a chronological news feed, meaning that people don't open Instagram and see like the latest posts first. They see like top posts first, like posts that the algorithm thinks you're most likely to engage with. That's what you see first. Has nothing to do with chronological order at all. And then there's the explore page, which is that on steroids. It's not just people you follow, it's stuff it thinks that you'll like based on like what you viewed before. So you should post as much as possible, because the more times that you post, the more likely it is that you create a piece of content that resonates with people. Not every piece of content you create will resonate with people, but the more you post, the more you can figure out what resonates with people. And it's just like lottery tickets, buying lottery tickets, and the more you buy, the more likely you are to hit the lottery, right? And also play with different formats. So for every video you do, don't just make the video. Also take like 3 or 4 photos of your setup from different angles, and that becomes like 3 or 4 different posts. Experiment with Reels, which like every time one of these platforms rolls out a new feature, like Instagram did with Reels and like Twitter is doing right now with Fleets, they really push users that are using the new features. So if you go to your Explore page on Instagram right now, you'll likely see at the top like a reel, like a 30-second video from somebody.
I've been seeing that.
And
I didn't even think of it that way.
Yeah, and if you do that, if you now take your video that's probably much longer than 30 seconds and just make a 30-second version, or just take the best 30 seconds from it, and so you're posting the full-length version, and then you're also going to post like a 30-second like best part version as a reel, see which one does better. And I think you'll likely find that the reel does better, because Instagram is like, yes, a reel, let me put that on the Explore page, let me show that to more people. Like that's what the algorithm is doing, that's what the platform is trying to promote. It's a new feature, so you have to like play the game. It's like a game of chess with these algorithms and these platforms, right? So you always got to be kind of ahead of it. But don't worry about like, oh, I post one thing and I want people to see that one thing, so I won't post anything else. No, you want to post as many things as possible, so that like maybe a photo catches somebody's eye, maybe a reel catches somebody's eye, maybe a story catches somebody's eye, then they go to your profile and then they see the big long video, and then that does the job for you, you know? So it's as much as possible, right? Which sounds daunting, but like I said, if you're doing one video session, you can get at least 3 photos out of that session, and then at least a 30-second reel, and then the main video, and suddenly you have 5 pieces of content from one session.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was totally like, this is a dope video. I don't like people go to my page. I want them to see it. But now I understand, like, if I want people to see it, I need to post more in general. Yeah. So.
And then you take that video, you put it on your story too. You like it just all like, don't worry about that. Like, and even like if you want to see this like proven, just go to like any musical artist that is active on social media that you like, or that you think is killing it like in the industry right now, and go see like what they're posting is like. You're going to see like they've got stories going on for miles. They post like multiple times a day. They post like 3 times like right after each other. There's crazy stuff going on out there. So post it as much as possible. But it's not backbreaking, right? I'm not saying like go do a bunch of individual shoots. It's like take the one thing that you're doing and make 5 pieces of content out of it.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Definitely.
You can do it.
That's really good information for sure.
Yeah.
I got some photos from the last video and I posted that, but now I'm thinking like I really got to milk the content from the video, like for
sure. And then even if like you then post a story of you just talking to your phone saying, hey guys, just posted a new video, like go check it out, it's on my feed right now. Even little stuff like that, like make that happen too.
Cool.
You got it. You can do it. I'm going to be looking for it now.
Thanks, man. I guess I have one more question if you have time.
Let's do it.
A quick one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm great at making the 1-minute video.
Yeah.
But what is your like best advice, or like your maybe go-to resources for musical composition in general, like from start to finish? Like how do I want to take this like 1-minute video, 1-minute musical composition and make it like a 2 to 3 minute track?
Sure. Well, arrangement, obviously. Like you can do a lot with the arrangement. Like with 1 minute, a lot of my tracks start like this, like 1-minute pieces of music that then get blown up into like a bigger arrangement. And a lot of times what it comes down to is you need a little more than what's already contained in that 1 minute. So that 1 minute of musical ideas might be like really great and might be the basis of your whole track. But what you might find is like, so you're working in Ableton, you got like one scene of clips going, and that is what's going to make up your minute track. But now let's work in a second scene. Let's start on a B section, a contrasting section, something that the beat changes or the chord progression changes or a new instrument comes in, and just start composing a B section that fits in that sonic world. So use all the same instruments, right? Like bands, like you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? So every time they make a song, they're not switching their instruments for every part. They still have guitar, bass, singer, drums. So when you've already made your A section, use all those same instruments and all that same like orchestration to create a B section now, and be in the same key, shift chord progressions, shift melody ideas, shift bass lines, shift the feel of the drums, but stay in the same sonic world. And suddenly you have something that you can add to that arrangement and extend your track. And just look at like very simple like song forms. Like the simplest is like A, B, A. So if you create that nice solid A section that gets you a minute of music, and then you create a nice solid B section that gets you another minute of music, you're going to go back to that A section for a third time. Suddenly you have a 3-minute track. And along the way, as you're doing that, like during one of our lessons in a lot of my live streams, we talk about bells and whistles, right?
Right.
That's what's going to add to like transitioning to different sections, and also happen to, it will also help, create something new. Because if you are repeating sections, it can get quite repetitive, but you can always, once you have that core arrangement done, maybe that A, B, A structure or whatever you decide it to be, you can layer on top of that. Like maybe there needs to be an extra lead on top of the end part, or maybe, I do need to add a new instrument in the B section, things like that. But once you have the core of that added, you can easily get to like a 2-3 minute track for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope you stay safe this holiday.
Yeah, you too, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, and we will check in hopefully next time we have a call-in show.
Cool.
All right, have a good
Thanks
one.
so much.
Great call. Lots covered in that call, chat. I hope you enjoyed. We have lots of people in the waiting room, I see. I know I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I can only take one call at a time. I appreciate you all. I'm trying to do them, and him gives them to me here. Gabriel says, I can see the lightsaber in the background. It's true. There's 3 lightsabers there, actually. Jim says, love your soccer mom minivan. Yes. If you're not following me on like Instagram and Twitter and all that, I did just buy a mom van to make beats in. I shot a video in there yesterday. Nova Beats says, Lo-Fi Glow seems like quite a good plugin. It's half price right now. Yes. I've got a Black Friday video coming out either on Thursday or on Friday that will talk more about that. So make sure you watch. And yeah, cool. Jay Scholl says there's an amazing book called The Business of Music that greatly defines how to monetize and market your music. Yes, go check that out. Also, you can learn for free just by watching what people do. Go look at Drake's social media, or go look at everything around Drake. Look at all of his social media, his website, everything that he does for content wise. Like I say Drake specifically because he's one of the biggest artists right now, but replace that with any big artist that you look up to. And yeah, let's keep rolling because we have lots more calls. We gotta get Claire in here. Claire is on the show. We're gonna show Claire if Claire is prepared. Claire, if you want to be on video.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm gonna put you on the stream if you don't mind.
Oh, God.
Here we go. All right.
I'm trying to like make sure that there's no feedback, so I'm like muting. I just like muted the stream. I don't know if is this working?
Yeah, it works. As long as you can hear me, we're good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's up, Claire? Claire, aka Doll Trick. You all need to check out her cool sessions at Doll Trick on Instagram with replace the I with an exclamation point. Do it. And she just posted an amazing performance on her YouTube channel where she performed as faculty for Berkeley.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Whoops.
Go check out that performance. It's so dope. But yeah, thanks for calling in, Claire. What's going on? What are we talking about today?
Totally. How's it going with you?
I'm hanging. I'm ready for like a little break for the holiday.
It's funny because that was actually what my question was going to be. And congratulations again on your mom band.
Thanks.
But yeah, I was going to ask because I feel like you do so many things, Mr. TAETRO.
It's true.
How do you take breaks, and how do you know when to take a break? Maybe that's something that a lot of people are wondering about. I'm wondering about it because you do so many things.
It's nearly impossible. No, I think it's weird. I'm in this weird mind or like headspace where taking a break is I am not super happy when I have nothing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always feel like I can be doing something, and it is hard. Like I try to shut my mind off, like and not do that. But I always feel like, oh, let me take a picture of this moment, or let me just make a video here, or let me like make some music while I'm just sitting here. And shutting that off can be hard. But what's good about this little break is I'll be spending it with family, so that will like occupy some time, which is nice. And you know, I'm really the only like musician, like not creative, like my parents are creative, I would say, but like I'm the only one who does like stuff like this. So it's good to be with other people who don't do this, you know what I mean? To do like, so there's that. And then I'm really, I don't know, it's a hard question. How do you take breaks, Claire?
I don't know.
You do so many things too. Teaching, artist stuff, like you do so much as well. Like what is your key for taking breaks?
That's kind of why I was asking you actually, because I don't really know. No, I'm half kidding, but also half not kidding. I definitely like what you mentioned just now about like being the only person who does this kind of thing. Really resonated with me. I feel like it's funny. A lot of my friends who I am close to, some of them are musicians, but especially those who aren't musicians, like maybe they work a 9 to 5. Like one of my really good friends, he does a lot of like finance kinds of things. Like I love him so much, but he really doesn't get it. Like he's like, why do you keep working? I'm like, well, first of all, I love doing the work that I do. I think both of us can say the same thing. Like we love and we're really passionate about the work that we do. But yeah, it's just so hard to take a break. Like for him, it's really easy because he's like, I'll just take a day off work and I'll go, I don't know, climb a mountain or something.
Yes.
It's like we can't stream 343 TV if we're on a mountain. So
that's
that might be
true.
A bit hard.
But it's also
but
it's weird because like being an artist is so different than like any other job, because like regardless of like if this pays my bills or not, like I'm still a musician, you know, like I'm still an artist. I still want to make things, still a video creator. So like that part of my brain rarely turns off. It turns off when I play Call of Duty. That is the only time my brain turns off. Like when I have like a video game and I'm doing like a mission, I'm not thinking about anything else besides like the video game, which is why I really like video games, and everybody should have like a little hobby like that. But you know what? I was doing a little bit of research on this term, this Japanese term called ikigai, which is like your purpose for living. And like the way I saw it described is like you have the thing that like that pays your bills, you have the thing that you love, you have the thing that you're good at, and you have the thing the world needs. And if you picture that as like a 4-way Venn diagram, if you can find something that's right in the middle of that, like you'll be happy, like to pursue that. And a lot of people like have to compromise that. You either have something you're good at and that pays the bills, or you have something that the world needs and that I already forgot some of the things, but like missionary work, like people like religious people do missionary work. They don't get paid money. They just go do things that the world needs. But if you can find something that's in the middle, which is something I'm very grateful to feel that I've found, like being a creative person, I think that is the constant pursuit, like something you're good at, something the world needs, something you love, etc. Like finding that middle section. So I've been doing a little bit of philosophy like work in my off hours.
Great. That's awesome. I need to do some philosophy work. Have you been doing it through like books or any?
Yeah, some book. I've been like listening to some books on Audible and like some YouTube videos. And my friend and I have been looking a lot about stoicism, about things you cannot control and things you can control. And I think all that is like so important as an artist, and not a lot of people talk about that stuff. Everybody just talks about like make the stuff, get it on social media, get your name out there, like but not enough folks talk about like how do you do this but be happy.
Yeah, totally. I completely agree. I think something that from what you just mentioned, something else that I got reminded of about one of my friends and I were having this conversation. She's also another musician as well. But she makes more like singer-songwriter type of things.
Yeah.
A bit less electronic, but she brought up an idea once that I found very intriguing, and it's that in order to be an artist, like sure you can create things, but you do need something to create about.
Sure.
So like we got like experience the world, and that's kind of I think where the breaks kind of come in handy. I think like taking a step away from, be it your instrument or your computer or your voice, even like if you're a vocalist, just having a little bit of time to absorb whatever's around you.
Absolutely.
In the world, I think so. So that's something that I'm also trying to get a little bit used to as well. Just
a
break, not for the sake of taking a break, but to be a better artist.
To be inspired, because that's one of the reasons. Like I hated my whole college experience, but one thing I did appreciate about it was that I went to like a normal, like a state university where it wasn't just like a music school. Like I had to take other classes like English and stuff. So that means like I was exposed to other things that could potentially inspire my art. Because we're, like you just kind of explained, we're not artists in a bubble. We're artists like reacting to the world, and that's what our art's about. And of course, like nothing will inspire great art like a good breakup too. So like for people out there who need a pro tip, just like go get into like a great like head over heels relationship and then have it just die in 3 weeks, and then you'll make the best art, right? That's mentally safe.
Oh no, I mean that's definitely one way. I do think one thing I've been thinking about a lot of though is like, what other things aside from say like emotional turmoil can you be inspired by? So maybe that's why, I don't know, I've maybe some of the other people know this about me, but I've been doing a lot of I do a lot of different genres for my music. Recently I've been doing a lot of like drum and bass stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that for me has also been a way of, in a way, taking a break from the normal like poppy stuff that I produce for other people when they hire me as their producer. Because more often than not, when people ask me to produce for them, they know like my poppier dance stuff. So the drum and bass stuff is a little bit like, whoop, here's something else that not a lot of people get. So I don't know. I think that's also something else. And because of that, topically, that for me has also been a little bit different. And I've for some reason, it's probably just me, but like I've found a lot more of like spirituality through drum and bass.
Sure.
In a weird sort of way. I'm and not to like discuss religion at this point, but like I am a Christian in general. I'm Catholic. So when I don't think anyone's made like Christian drum and bass before, but a lot of my maybe some people have, but yeah, more of my recent productions that are drum and bassy have been inspired by like my relationship with spirituality and stuff like that. So topically, I think that's very different from like the pop stuff where I sing about people breaking other people's hearts.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess that's also a different kind of break.
Yeah, a break from what you normally do, like genre breaks. Like a lot of what I've been doing is just like straight up beat making, like maybe a little bit of hip hop influence. But I also really love like ambient, like slower music. Like the music I make right now is like kind of not fast tempo wise, but fast in that it's consumable like in a very short amount of time. But I also really love like long form. Like I was very inspired by Brian Eno at a very young age, and like electronic music like that, like I heard somebody describe it as like music that's trying to become a river, or music that's trying to like become the sky, you know, like something like that. I really love long form ambient music. And to me, if I sit and make that kind of music and I don't film any videos and I don't do whatever, like that to me is a break. Like even just sitting and singing songs with my acoustic guitar, like that is a break. Yeah. So it's just a weird thing being an artist. Like, yes, I'm still making music. Yes, I'm still like creating work, I guess you could say, but it's not work, you know, it's different.
Totally. I actually had no idea that you liked Brian Eno, but have you listened to, I'm sure you've listened to Music for Airports?
Of course. Like, yeah, that's where I started.
That's like one of my favorite all time. We got to talk about Brian Eno sometime.
Yeah, on our podcast that we start.
Yeah, if people want to hear the podcast, let us know. Maybe this is a good.
Let us know if this conversation is like a preview of a podcast that you would like to hear in the future, because we can make that happen.
Yeah. No, but this was so nice. Thank you for sharing about that, Nate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking the question, and thank you for also sharing your experience.
Yeah, totally. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving break, and
you too.
Enjoy your week.
We'll talk in between there.
Yeah, cool. Talk soon.
All right, talk soon. Bye. Bye. Great call. Claire is an Ableton certified trainer, for those of you who did not know. She's really cool. And she teaches some of the classes at 343 Labs. Go to 343labs.com. The link is in the description. She's amazing. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention to the chat during that, but we're going to keep rolling because we're going long here. I'm going to get Daryl in here next. Rashane says, cut this audio out for the TAETRO Talks podcast. Yeah, not only that, but me and Claire have talked about like doing our own separate podcasts. So let me know what you all think about that. We're getting Daryl in here. I kind of lowered the volume before. Daryl, how's it going?
Oh, hey, man. What's up?
Thank you for joining the show. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Malaysia.
Malaysia. That's amazing. How are things over there?
Well, not exactly great, but staying at home has...
Sure.
I've been like coping with it by just playing a lot of music and stuff.
It's great that we have music, right? Because we can stay home and make music and you know, feel something, you know, even if we can't go out into the world. What's your question today?
Oh, so I'm really new to music production. I actually started like 2 weeks ago.
Great.
And my background is kind of not really in like electronic or pop music. My background is actually in like rock and metal sort of stuff.
Cool.
So this is like a completely new thing for me.
That's great. Well, congratulations, first of all, because you're about to embark on a great journey. And this is the most fun it will ever be, is like when you're first starting. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And over the past 2 weeks after I started, I've been like sort of trying to write little sort of like loops here and there. Like I have these sort of ideas and I'm just like, right now they just kind of loop on like continuously.
Sure.
Like in progress. So I was just wondering if you have any tips on how to turn something like a beat or a loop into like a more like a song. It's kind of related.
Absolutely.
One of the guys asked before.
Yeah, this is something people struggle with a lot. And you did say Ableton, you're using Ableton Live, right? I think it broke up.
Oh, yeah. I'm using Ableton.
So this is actually a very common problem in Ableton Live for some folks, for some people, especially just starting out, because you have this really great session view that is like this really nice notebook kind of, I call it like a notebook of like loops, right? Like you create all your little musical ideas are all looping together. It's like your little idea notebook. But like you got to hit the tab button and go over to arrangement view and start putting these things on the timeline. That's the biggest recommendation I have for folks who have the same problem that you have is before you end your session, like let's say you build up your loops and it's sounding great. Awesome. Cool. Take those loops and bring them all into session view before you finish working on this project for the day, and try to build out a very basic arrangement. This doesn't have to be the final arrangement of the song, but take those pieces and build them up. Like it could be one by one, or certain parts come in with other certain parts, and try to build a very basic structure around the loops that you have. That way, when you open up the project again, you're not opening it up to session view, which is just like this infinite loop. You're opening it up to arrangement view. And once you start arranging, not only do you see like what you have and how it exists on the timeline and how you can stretch it out for however long it can go and still be interesting, but you also see what is missing. So maybe you realize, I need to add like a shaker layer to this part to mix it up. Or maybe you get to like a minute or a minute 30 and you're like, man, this is getting too repetitive. I need a new section. And then right in that arrangement view, you can start composing a new section. It's kind of what we talked about with the Colorage before, is talking about that B section, because that's one thing we struggle with. When we're building up loops, it's all one section. And then when it comes, it's hard for our brains to switch to create a B section. But if you get it into arrangement view, you start to notice where stuff like that is needed. So that's my biggest recommendation, is jump to arrangement view. When you get loops that you're happy with, like a nice solid thing going, jump to arrangement view before you finish that project, and then start working exclusively in arrangement view from there to build it up.
Right. That's actually really, really helpful.
Yes, and you can do it. Like you're early in your stages, so like keep getting good at like making those loops and making good sounding music, and your orchestration, like which instruments you're picking, things like that. And then start using that arrangement tip, and you will start making completed tracks a lot faster.
All right, cool. Yeah, sure, man. I'll definitely try that out.
Keep doing it, and I hope to hear from you in a future call-in show so we can see how it's working out for you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much for calling in, Daryl.
All right, thanks so much for answering.
Have a good one.
Thanks, you too, man.
Great calls today. I love connecting with the community on these call-in shows. I appreciate you all so much. Let's keep going because we have a few people waiting, and we're going to go for a bit of a longer show today. I'm going to get Aaron in here. Thank you all for tuning in. TAETRO Talks. We do this every Tuesday. Next Tuesday's show will be pre-recorded, but there will be a TAETRO Talks. So don't worry. We're going to have some of the best advice from some of the greatest interviews that we've had. And no. Aaron is on the show. How's it going, Aaron?
Oh, no. I'm on this now.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi.
How are you? You're saying, oh, no, but I think it's a happy thing that you're on the show.
I didn't think I would get in this fast.
Well, here you are. It's weird. I think Zoom is not giving it to me in chronological order, so I'm just hitting like who's on top. But I'm happy that you're here. Are you prepared to ask a question on the show?
Sure.
Let's go for it. What did you call in about? You must have called in for some reason.
Well, so...
Where are you calling in from, first of all? Let's start that way.
I'm calling in from Minnesota.
Minnesota. Nice.
Minnesota in the U.S.
Cool.
So, man, I really struggle with this kind of stuff.
That's okay. Take your time.
I get really nervous and stuff.
No worries at all. Minnesota makes me think of Fargo, which is not even in Minnesota. But I'm a big fan of Fargo, and I've never been to the Midwest, but somehow I'm a big fan of like the Midwest. So I don't know how that works. Or like that northern like area. Minnesota accents are great too. So the more you can talk, the better.
Wait, I actually have the Minnesota accent.
I don't know. We'll find out when you ask your question, which is...
Oh, I've lost it. I had it.
I'm going to ask you some questions. What kind of music do you make? Do you make music?
Yes, I do. I don't really have a specific genre that I make.
Cool. But is it all electronic, or like do you do some like more like any rock or pop stuff, or are you making like mostly electronic music?
Mostly electronic music.
Cool. What's your DAW of choice? I
use FL Studio Producer Edition.
Nice. How do you like it?
I've tried Ableton before.
Mm-hmm.
I got it with my Launch Key Mark II that I have, but I never really got into it. I've also tried Reaper.
Sure.
But I didn't really get into that one.
Yeah, Reaper's way more of like a traditional like linear DAW. And like if you're comfortable with FL Studio, then no problem with that.
Yeah, my dad got me into using FL Studio because he thought I would enjoy it. He doesn't do music at all, but he thought I would enjoy it, so he got me into it. And I used the demo for the longest of time, but then
sure,
my parents got me the producer edition. I was only expecting the fruity edition, so I was pretty happy about that.
Dude, yeah, that's great. Don't forget also to remember how great it is to have supportive parents. Like it sounds like you have very supportive parents. I also have very supportive parents, but we talk to a lot of people on the show that do not have very supportive parents or families, or like people who like invest in their kids like art or creativity. So like we can count those blessings for sure.
Yeah, the biggest problem with me as somebody who is an artist is I don't like it when I get positive feedback for whatever reason.
That's so funny that you say that, because I bet it's not that you don't like it. I bet it's that you kind of don't know how to accept positive feedback, which I also have had issues with in the past. Like I'm very bad at taking compliments, and I have a very good friend who she's also like was started out as kind of like a mentor to me, who like actually had to tell me to say thank you like after somebody complimented me, because what would happen is somebody would compliment me and I would get super uncomfortable and kind of not respond, like not say anything, and she had to like tell me like say thank you, like you have to say thank you, like or else it just comes off like a certain way, and that's very true for us.
It comes off as rude.
Yeah, it comes off as super rude. But it's okay to accept like positive feedback. And I think some of it comes from like, we always want to push ourselves to be better. So when we receive positive feedback, we kind of see it as like, oh yeah, like whatever, I'm going to do better next time anyway. So like, thanks, but no thanks kind of thing. But like, sometimes it's okay to just kind of be where you're at and accept positivity for, the thing that you've made as it stands, So it comes down to like not liking the compliment or not disliking the positive feedback, but it also comes down to like just being okay with accepting it,
Yeah. And sorry if you hear me making some weird sounds. It's not that I'm completely uninterested. It's that I have Tourette's, so I'm sorry.
No worries at all, my friend. Go ahead.
It's the funniest thing that happened when my mom was out she was out having some she was out having some she was out having fun with friends.
Yeah.
And when she was sitting down at the restaurant that they were at, somebody at it might have only been one friend that she was with, but she had apparently showed them my music in the past, and they thought it was good, and they actually had connections to somebody who works at a club.
Nice.
And they wanted to show it to them. And that was a scary thought to me, and I did not take it well.
Sure. It's super hard, especially when like sometimes our minds go like way farther out in the future than they need to go. So like you think like, okay, this person A likes the music. I'm uncomfortable with that because they're saying nice things about me and I don't know how to like accept it. And then two, it's like, okay, then they have this connection that is going to lead to some opportunity that is going to create some anxiety somewhere in the future if I have to go like talk to somebody else, if I have to go perform somewhere, or if I have to go talk about myself somewhere, you know? So like our minds think so far ahead and they like get anxiety for things that either haven't happened or will not happen or might be a lot easier when they happen in the future. And it is a thing to just get better at. Like I'm constantly getting better at that too. Like not getting too many steps ahead of myself. Like what can I control in this moment, right? So in this moment, this person is saying that they like my stuff. Great. I can say thank you. I can control that. I can accept that. This person wants to show my work to somebody else. I can control whether or not I say, yes, please show it to somebody else, or no, please don't show it to somebody else. And once they do show it to somebody else, I can accept to interact with that new person and accept opportunity, or I can choose to not accept opportunity. But either way, like you have the choice every step of the way. Sometimes it feels like a roller coaster in that you get on, you sit in the seat, you strap in, you get locked in, and once they hit go, you're going, you can't get off. But that's not really how life is. We have a lot more control over what we do and how we accept things and opportunity into our lives than we think, you know?
Yeah. Another really big thing that it stems from me not knowing how to take positive feedback. My parents, when I say that I don't want them to be showing it to other people, they still do, and I think that's just them trying to encourage me to actually get better at sharing it myself.
Sure. What do you think is the worst thing that could happen when they show somebody your music? Like, what is the ultimate worst scenario?
I mean, the thing is, I couldn't care less if somebody doesn't like it, because art is very subjective, and what somebody likes and doesn't like is just...
Totally.
I think what scares me more is if enough people like it that I get attention, because it stems from my Tourette's, as I mentioned earlier, that I struggle with being the center of attention. I hate getting attention.
Yeah.
It's to the point where I don't like talking to my parents about my problems. I actually had to force myself to talk to my dad about depression and stuff like that.
Sure. Which is difficult for like anybody, like not just somebody like with Tourette's, or not just somebody, you know, with anything. Like that's difficult for any parent-child relationship anyway. So like it's layers of complications.
Yeah, with me, it was, I didn't want them to be worried about me is the big thing. Sure. I didn't want them to have more things to worry about, especially with the global recession that's going on.
Yeah, there's lots of things to be anxious about, but you know what? At the same time, it comes back to that idea of control. And, you know, I don't claim to be an expert in this at all, but like I mentioned Stoicism earlier, and it is all about like not letting yourself worry about the things you cannot control and letting yourself only care about the things that you can control, that are within your control. So like there are these global events and there are these world anxiety inducing events that happen that I have literally no control over. So I could choose to focus on those and have no control over them. But if I do that, I'm just really creating anxiety for myself. I'm not helping anybody. I'm not creating any solutions. The thing with music too is like, accepting the compliments. We talked about that, how you can accept opportunity or decline opportunity. And that is just something that you will grow with as a person. You will grow to be more comfortable sharing your work and not necessarily being the center of attention, because that might continue to be something you work with. And it's something a lot of people face anxiety over. But the way you get more comfortable with things is kind of like taking more steps. It's like dipping your toe into the water and then suddenly you're ankle deep in the water and then you're knee deep. It's like learning to swim, right? And then suddenly you're swimming in the deep end. But you don't jumping in the deep end immediately seems like a very scary thing when you don't know how to swim. But what doesn't seem scary is sitting at the edge of the pool with your toes in the water, right? So and just remember that that's kind of where you're at. Like, you're just putting your toes in the water. You're not jumping in the deep end. Nobody's asking you to jump in the deep end. And if somebody does ask you to jump in the deep end, you can say no. Like, you don't have to at all. So you're in control of that. So just remember where you are in that stage of like learning how to swim, I guess. Like, always relate it back to that. And that can kind of help with some of that anxiety.
Yep.
Aaron, I appreciate you calling in. You should call again in the future for sure.
It really just depends on if I'm on my computer at the time. Because,
totally.
Normally I wouldn't be here, but our school just announced that one, I have Thanksgiving break this week.
Great.
And two, our school just announced that we're not going to be going into school to learn anymore. We're just going to be doing all online, which is unfortunate. But honestly, I think it'll just be better for me because I would prefer it to be all one way or all the other way.
Sure, I can imagine it's very hard to keep up with when things switch.
The hybrid system is hard.
Well, good luck with that, and try to take advantage of much as the situation as possible. Because if you are home most of the time now, maybe you have a little bit more time to create and make stuff, So like there's a silver lining in everything. Like, you might not be able to go into school and see friends physically or things like that, but what do you gain back? You gain back some time. You gain back some advantage to being at home, I'm sure. But thank you, Aaron. And if you I'm very glad that you called. Don't be nervous to call in next time. And also, we were talking a lot about anxiety and like social anxiety and things like that during this call, but you called in and we had a great conversation. So like, reflect on that and think about like, you were kind of nervous at the top of the call, but we got through it and I didn't think anything bad happened. And I think we actually had like a very good conversation. So remember that.
Sorry, I didn't really...
No worries. Like, just remember that next time you go into like a situation like that, like, it's scary at first, it's terrifying at first. Yes. But then at the end of it, like we're done. And I think it was a pretty positive chat.
Yeah, I really didn't have a question.
I
just wanted to talk about things and just things about I wanted to talk to somebody who had been doing this for significantly longer, so I could get somewhat of an idea of how to deal with that kind of thing.
Yep. It's a daily process. You're going to be just fine, and nothing you're going through right now is there's nothing wrong with you. It's not something that we all haven't gone through, to different degrees, and I myself have definitely gone through it for sure. Like, a lot of the things that you said resonated deeply with my own experience. So I appreciate your call, and we had a great conversation. So thank you, Aaron.
Yep. I thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I think this was a pretty cool experience. Awesome. Being able to talk to somebody who has been doing this for longer. I don't know what else to say.
It's okay. No, that's it. We're done. I appreciate you.
I should stop wasting time.
No, you're not wasting time. Thank you for calling in though, Aaron. I'll talk to you next time.
Yep. Talk to you next time.
Great calls today, chat. We got to keep rolling through because the waiting room is full. Max, M-A-K-S is up next. Join me, Max, in the Zoom. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going a bit longer than an hour today, it seems, but that's okay because we've had a lot of great calls. If you're just tuning in, don't worry, the show will be up so you can rewind and watch some of the previous calls. a lot of good advice today. We'll probably chop some of these up and put them in the podcast feed. So if those of you who are not subscribed, just go to your favorite podcast platform on your phone right now. Type in TAETRO Radio, TAETRO Radio. And you will find like great clips. All the interviews go there, first of all. So all the nice long interviews with great artists that we've had on this show, those interviews are there. So you don't have to have YouTube open. You could just listen. And then we take little clips from like great calls, like some of the ones we've had today. And yeah. Max, I brought you into the room, but unfortunately your what do you call it? Your mic is not turned on. So I'm going to put you back in the waiting room because we do have lots of calls today. And we are going to bring in Kevin. I put you back in the waiting room there, Max. So when you figure out your mic situation, I'll try again in a bit. Yale Tech says, great conversations. Thank you. I appreciate you. Kevin, you're in the room. Just make sure you enable, I believe the microphone audio input setting is in the bottom left, and use the little arrow and make sure you select the proper microphone. I think a lot of people need to set that up in Zoom. Delirium says, great call. No, Samuel Messiah, not Max Wild. I think it's a different Max. King Tut says, I feel like this is a therapy session. I don't know if it's a therapy session, but I think a lot of like mental health and like philosophical things, it's very deeply connected to being an artist. Oh, and now Kevin has his mic, but he just needs to unmute. So I'm going to ask to unmute. Hey, and Kevin is in the chat. What's going on?
Sorry about that. It took me a minute.
No problem. It happens to like a lot of people the first time they call in. How are you? Where are you calling in from?
I'm great, TAETRO. How are you doing? I'm calling in from the west coast of the United States.
Amazing. Same. That's where I'm calling in from. I'm doing good. This has been a great show so far, and I'm excited to have you on. Do you have a great question for us today?
Yeah, I had a couple questions, but the first one I wanted to ask was basically, so as a creative, I know that my worst enemy is usually myself. And
it's true.
My question is basically like, how do you deal with that internal struggle that you deal with, where it's basically like some days you just wake up and you don't want to create, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Just where I'm at, like as a creative, I want to reach that point where I'm just like putting things out consistently.
Absolutely.
Basically, I've been a producer for about 2 years, and before that I was DJing for about 3. But now I'm really just trying to get into like the visual side of things. And when your focus has been music for so long, it's hard to like branch out and learn new things. You know what I mean?
Is it harder or is it the same? Is it just that you've gotten used to the fact that like when you get good at something like music, right? And you do music for a long time, you get, you create systems for yourself. You create habits that make the process easier. But then, but when you first started, it wasn't like that, right? It was really hard. So it's not that it's harder to start learning like visuals or like video content. It's just that you're just starting. It's just as hard as anything that you just started, you know?
True that.
And also, I'm glad you asked this question because I was thinking about like things to talk about during this show. And like one of the main things was ego. And I'll get to that in a minute because ego doesn't necessarily mean what folks think it means. But you asked about, can you restate your question? Oh, making things regularly. Like you want to get into the better habit and like how do you deal with waking up with, you know, being not motivated? Well,
yeah, I'm like this close to like looking myself in the mirror and just screaming, do it. Well, you can do it.
Yeah. But also doing that can be the opposite of motivating. Like putting too much stress on yourself can be the opposite. So what ultimately happens is some days I wake up and I feel like making a video and I feel like making music. And some days I wake up, I feel like I can conquer the world. Like I'm going to do everything that's on my to-do list. I wake up with the to-do list front center in my brain and I'm literally checking it off as I wake up. I feel like I can do anything. But then other days I don't wake up feeling like that. And on those days, I don't just do the things. Sometimes I can't get to the things that I want to do. But I still do the things that I have to do. Like I've built up the discipline as a freelancer, like as a creative. I have to have this discipline where the things that I have to do have to get done. And I put my body on autopilot and I get them done no matter what level of motivation I have. But as artists, sometimes we don't have to do anything. Sometimes we don't have to make music because who cares if I don't post on Instagram tomorrow? Or who cares if I don't release that track in a couple weeks, right? Like it only affects me. which is not 100% true. So the way I deal with that is I trust the fact that I'm going to have highly motivated days where I wake up and it's like what I described before. Like I feel like I can literally do anything and I get so much done in the whole day. And I trust the fact that those days are going to come so that on the days that I wake up and I feel truly unmotivated, I do not stress about it, and I put my body on autopilot to get done the things that I want to get done, and I put the stress away from my head, and I trust the fact that I might wake up tomorrow feeling motivated, or I might not. I might wake up in 3 days and feel super motivated, but the other part of that too is when I wake up on that day and I feel motivated, I am very aware of it, and I very much say to myself, I better get all this stuff done today while I have this energy and I have this motivation, because I might wake up tomorrow feeling like down and unmotivated and unable to get it done. So today's the day. So if I'm super productive today, and you know what, it might happen 2 days in a row, it might happen 3 days in a row, it might happen 5 days in a row. However often it happens, I take advantage of that time. And luckily, like when you build up systems for yourself and when you build up like productive habits, when you have days like those, you can get a lot done, because the world runs very slow is what I'll say. Like 9 to 5 jobs are super inefficient. The way like people like school, like people go to school, like school is the most inefficient thing, right? Nice. Like passing periods, going to different classes, different groups of people, going to different types of classes. Like it's a nightmare that's how our society works. But that trains our brain to like have a very low bar of productivity. So like, on days that I feel like I could be highly motivated and highly productive, I'm much more productive than I would ever be at like a normal 9 to 5 job, because it's just not structured like that. I can get a lot more done in a lot less time because I'm efficient. So there's that. The other thing you said about being the worst enemy, though, I want to just touch on this really quick, is I want to talk about like ego, because we can be our own worst enemies. And a lot of times people associate ego with thinking you're all that. Like, I think my music is the best. Like, I'm the best YouTube music producer anybody's ever seen. Like, if I said,
not necessarily all it.
Right. If I said that, people would say, oh, you have a big ego. The other thing, if you say I'm the worst, like my track literally is the worst, my music sucks, like this is so bad, that's ego too. Like, what, you think the thing that you just made is the worst thing that anybody's ever made? Like, look at that ego. So like that works for both spectrums. So that mindset can help you frame things and give yourself a little bit of a reality check. Like, get somewhere in the middle, because it's highly unlikely that the thing you just made is the best thing that's ever going to be made. And it's highly unlikely that the thing you just made is the worst thing that is ever going to be made. So if we can reconcile both those things, we end up somewhere in the middle. And in the middle, it's like, yeah, this is good. You know, this is pretty good. And that's like the reality check that some of us need. And it's like a spectrum, right? So like we might be able to get ourselves closer to the middle where it's like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, I'm pretty proud of this. Or like, or like, oh, this is okay. It just needs a little work. But whatever, but using that framing, it gets us away from the extremes of like, I'm so good, I'm the best music producer you've ever seen, or I'm so bad, I will never be successful, and this is the worst thing ever.
That's right. Because some days you'll make something and you'll be like, oh, this is nothing. I'm not even going to save this. But then some days you're listening to something you made and you're like, I made this? This is right. My work? And it's definitely okay, like, to have those moments of reflection and be impressed with yourself. It's definitely okay for that. But as long as we keep our minds in check and realize that ego works both ways. It works for the extremes. If you think what you're doing is either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, that is your ego talking. And you can totally combat that by just giving yourself a little reality check and getting somewhere in the middle. Because we can be our worst enemies, we can be our worst critic, and trying to have an objective view of your own work is a very difficult thing, but it's something that I strive to do daily. I try to not look at myself, like my work, as my own work, and I try to just look at it as work for what it is, like without like detach myself from it. And on some level that is impossible to do in the human brain, but we can get closer and closer to it, I think. Yeah, it takes practice.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you. That's like the perfect answer, because I have this thing where like I'll have these problems, and as soon as I voice them to anyone, they'll give me an answer, and it's like, oh, that's the most simple solution. Like, I already know these things. I just need to hear it said by someone else.
Yes, because it's things you say in your brain to yourself all the time, but you're like certain parts of your brain push it out to the side and don't let you hear it. So it is helpful to listen to other people, say the things that you knew all along,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much for that advice.
Thank you so much for calling in and asking the great question.
Of course. Do we have time for one more? If not, it's totally fine.
Let's do it real quick.
Okay. Thank you, TAETRO. Mm-hmm. It's basically, so, when you're starting to work with other people and you're starting to assemble this team of, like, for instance, if you make it as an artist, obviously you want to have some kind of team ready.
Sure.
For when your moment in the spotlight comes, you want to have everything in place already. But my question is basically, how do you go about forming that team when you're at a point where, like, in your artist career where, like, oh, you need to start handling all these things and taking it from a business standpoint rather than just the musical standpoint?
One thing I'll say is I'm a very insular person, and I don't have a very big team, quote unquote, at all. I don't really have a team at all, really. Like, I've got my best friend that I live with that has been, he's been my best friend since I was in high school, since like MySpace days. Like when I was making singer-songwriter music, like he would like log into my MySpace account and like help me respond to comments, and like dudes, like he's been with me since like day one. Shout out to Joe.
Shout out to Joe.
And he is still, like, we live together now. We moved across the country, and he helps me get like the podcast episodes up, which I just talked about, where people can listen to TAETRO right on the podcast. But ultimately what happens was there's also things like video editing. Like sometimes I have a lot of video work and I need like some video editing help. So I have like some video editing help. Instead of like thinking about like, oh, somewhere down the road, I'm going to get big and I'm going to need a team. Instead of doing that, think about what you would like to spend your time doing, what makes you the happiest spending your time doing, and like what actually is helping you grow. And when there's things that could help you grow that you do not want to spend your time doing, that is when you start thinking about a team. So I do not want to spend most of my time editing videos, so I get a video editor. I do not want to spend time clipping this show and putting it into a podcast feed. But both of those things will help me grow, will help my brand grow. So if I don't want to do those things, I need to build a team and get people to help me do those things. And what ultimately happens is if you build yourself up enough, you get the capacity to hire somebody, to pay people to do those things, which is the biggest thing. So like you as an artist, you as a creative, you as a brand entity need to be generating some type of revenue to be able to bring people onto that team, first of all. And then second of all, you need to assess your time, how you want to spend your time, and then how you do not want to spend your time, but things that still need to get done, and then figure out how to outsource those and build the team around those. And it is helpful because I have somebody like Joe here who helps me with things like the podcast, like I mentioned, who knows what I do in and out. There's nobody who knows what I do better than he does, and there's nobody I can communicate better to than him because we've known each other for so long. We have that relationship. We very clear understanding of how we communicate and how we get things done. So finding people like that is great. And so start thinking about that. Like when you build up relationships with people who are really supportive of what you do, like they probably have skills that could help you along the way. And can you generate some revenue so that you can pay them some money to have them help you? Things to think about. But somehow it happens very far down the road. Like I've been doing this for a long time, and it took me a very long time to start bringing people in and bringing in help. But I'm glad that I did, because it's helped me grow a fair amount.
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm the kind of person that wishes they could do everything by themselves.
Sure.
And you can make it exactly how you want. And you know how when it's yours, you want to put in all the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. And that's a good thing that you said that, because it triggered another thing for me, like Control Freak Club, which is like my lifestyle and apparel brand, where I have different designs, like controlfreakclub.com. You'll go on there, you see these epic designs on t-shirts, on masks, on whatever. I wish I was a great visual artist and that I could do all the art for Control Freak Club, and that it was like my hand-drawn work or Photoshop, whatever, but I can't. But that doesn't mean I didn't still have the idea for Control Freak Club, like a great apparel brand that has pictures of cool gear on it and stuff like that, and has cool logos. So I could have either just not done it, said oh, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do it. Or I could have said, let me hire a bunch of artists to execute my vision. Like as creatives, we have creative vision, and I'm doing a lot more creative direction now than I ever have before. And I learned to be better at that. To be better at that idea of I can have creative ideas that I physically cannot execute, but the ideas can still get executed.
Blowing my mind right now.
That's the thing. Like if you are a creative person like I am, and you are into like creative direction, you have big ideas, like that's how every business is started.
Exactly.
Like that's how literally like any like Facebook or like any giant business, like nobody knows. Like when people start a hot dog stand, right? Like they start because they know how to make hot dogs. But eventually, like when it comes down to marketing, like Oscar Mayer, right? They're the ones with the big hot dog bus. Like I'm sure when the guy opened his first hot dog stand, he wasn't thinking about like, oh, how do I get a custom bus made? How do I get a custom hot dog shaped bus made? I can't do that. I don't know how to build trucks, let alone how to do a custom body that looks like a hot dog. And so if he had never done that, he wouldn't have done one of like the best marketing things of all time. Or like the blimp, like Goodyear, they make tires, right? But one of their biggest things they have is a blimp. I don't think the people that started the tire company way back in the day were like, we can't start this company because we don't know how to make blimps. We can't have a Goodyear blimp because we're a tire company. No, they figured it out. They hired somebody. They had the vision. They said, let's fly a blimp over all these amazing football games so people know the Goodyear blimp and the Goodyear name, and they'll buy tires from us. So they came up with the idea. They hired people. They hired a pilot to fly the blimp. Like the people who make the tires are not flying the blimp. That's your analogy for the day. The people who make the tires are not flying the blimp. So you as a creative, you might have the idea for the apparel company, but be a terrible visual artist. Well, you can definitely convey your ideas to a visual artist who can then help you execute those visual ideas. You might be a musician who's great at writing songs, but terrible at music production and mixing and mastering. So you know what you do? You write the songs, you record some stems, and you send them to a music producer or a mix and mastering person, you know?
I'm so happy you brought all of that up because I come from like a management background. Like I have a degree in management, and
so you have a team. Like if you're a manager, you have a team of people that can do all the things that you cannot do.
But so I always think of it like, okay, if I can't do this, how can I find people that I can trust enough to like work with on a project who can make my ideas a reality? Because a lot of us, when you're a creative, sometimes your ideas are stuck in your head and you can't make them real. And so you have to have like either the time to learn to do it yourself or the money and the resources to have other people do it for you. Yep.
Absolutely. And we come from like a similar background. The way I learned this is by running a music program where like I ran it was such a great music program, and I ran it beyond my own capacity. So I had to start building a team. I had to hire an assistant. I had to hire interns, work studies, and getting the right people around you, because if it would be to the detriment of the kids in my program if I had to be in every single program all the time delivering the programming because I was the only one who knew how to do it best. Instead, what I needed to do is hire the team that could do some version of what I do or like what fits their strengths better to run that program so that the whole thing is better, so that it's not reliant on one person. Your creative ideas don't have to be reliant on just you or just one person, or you're just going to end up spending all your time learning a new skill every single day. And that's if that makes you happy, great. But if you have bigger aspirations beyond that, that is not sustainable. We have a few more calls and we're going really long, but I really appreciate the call because you made me go on a rant.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having this show.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for calling in.
Of course. You take care, man.
You too. Have a good one. Keeping it rolling. We have 4 more callers, my friend. So the line is going to be closed. We're going to keep going and we're going to finish these calls, though. It's our first call and show in a while, so I don't mind going a little long. And I appreciate you all. Samuel Messiah. Every call-in show, we have a little segment from a guest who calls in regularly, and take it away. What is this segment called, my friend?
Hello, everyone. This is my segment, Samuel Says.
What is going on, Samuel? How are you doing?
Doing good. School's kind of stressing me out because it's the end of the trimester.
Right.
So, like, they're getting all the grades out and all. So it's kind of stressful. But, I mean, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're making it through. Do you have a little break right now Like a lot of people have like a Thanksgiving break, but I don't know if you have that.
We have the National Day break, which is from December 1st to December 5th, I think.
Right. Awesome. Well, great. I hope you're going to take advantage of that time. And what do you got for me today?
I got an interface and a mic, and I made my own mic stand.
That's awesome. You should share some pictures on your social media of that if you haven't already.
I'm probably gonna make a vid about how I modified the IKEA lamp into a mic stand.
That's awesome. You should 100% do that, and I will share it if you do. So make it a good video.
Okay.
IKEA hacks.
Next thing. Okay, so how do you deal with sample and plugin organization? Because like my stuff's all over the place.
My stuff is also all over the place. One thing that's helpful is I use Splice. So most of my samples come from one place, and Splice has its own browser. Another thing I can recommend is ADSR has a sample manager. And that you can put all your samples into the sample manager, and it sorts them by key and stuff. And what else? That's all I can recommend. And then putting folders into your user library. Give me 1 second, okay. Samuel. I'm going to yell, but ask your next question while I yell.
Okay. So, I don't know why this happens, but after I finish a song and I like save it, sometimes it saves into the like a thing called a project. Like it's, I don't know.
Say that like again. Run that by me one more time.
A song inside the file that has another song.
So, because it's a project file.
So what's that? What's that all about?
You mean it's saving it into another like Ableton Live like folder? Like you made an old project and then you hit save and it's saving it into the old folder?
I have no idea. I'm so lost.
What happens is like if you're working on a project, say I'm working on song A, and I hit save and it makes its own folder for song A, and the project lives in that folder. Like Ableton makes a folder and then the project lives in that folder. Now, if I start working on another project and I hit save and I'm working on song B, sometimes it puts it in that folder as well. So you got to like back up one more step and give it its own folder. It's like Ableton Live. It's like a project folder and then the live set, which is what the file is called. So that's the confusion there.
Yeah. Okay. That should clear up a lot of stuff. Next thing. Right. A few days ago, I can't believe I discovered it this late, but every time I used to use plugins, I used to load them up, use them, and then when the window or like the plugin window, I guess you call it, I don't know, when it used to disappear, I used to replace it with another plugin, then come back to the same plugin, open the same presets and everything, and then a few days ago, I discovered the tool icon on the like plugin.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes. That's amazing that you made it that far without knowing.
I've wasted probably like 30 minutes on that since the beginning of my journey.
You will have more moments like that the more you learn, that's for sure.
The more you learn.
The more you learn.
Every day. Oh yeah, I need to upgrade to Ableton Live Standing because since I got the mic, I'm starting to like dive into like vocal layering and just that kind of stuff. And I have 8 tracks. I'm like, the only way is to bounce the tracks off of each other.
It's a good time to upgrade because I don't know if they have a sale right now, but you'll also get the free upgrade to 11. So it's a good time to upgrade if you're thinking about it.
Now, BBC Orchestra. I downloaded this.
Oh, free samples, right?
I did the survey. It's so good.
It's a lot, right?
Like, yeah.
That's great.
It's so good.
Can you explain what that is for people who don't know?
Oh, it's basically the BBC Symphony Orchestra and Spitfire Audio, they're a company, if y'all don't know. Mm-hmm. They sampled the orchestra and they turned it into a plugin, and you can get it for like $45, I think, or $50. Or you can get it for free by doing a survey and waiting for 2 weeks. I did the survey and it's amazing.
That's great. Yeah, I don't have the library, but I've downloaded other BBC samples before. But anytime you can get free samples or anything like that, you should definitely do it.
Okay. Cool. Next one. When I load samples into the drum rack, I don't know why, like since a week ago, they've just been automatically going to plus 2 dB gain for some reason.
Thank you. Sorry, Samuel, keep going.
It's fine. It's just that when I load like a kick in or whatever, it automatically brings it up to like plus 2 dB. So it just sounds all distorted and disgusting. And I don't know how to fix it. I looked through preferences.
Don't bring it up to plus 2 dB. What do you mean?
Don't know what's wrong. Like when you load a sample into drum rack, right? You have like the wave thingy or whatever. Yeah. And then you have the gain knob under it. It just automatically goes to plus 2 dB.
It sounds like it's automatically normalizing it. I don't know why. That might be a preference or something, but just bring it down. Just bring the gain down.
Oh, right. Okay. So y'all, you know those lacy drives?
Yes.
The lacy hard drive?
I got one right here.
So they come with the USB 3.0 connector, or some of them, I guess.
Like a USB-C?
It's just like, no. It's like the connector that plugs into it. Yeah, it's a weird connector, right?
Yep.
So there's a hack for this.
Why would you hack it? Stop hacking things. This works perfectly fine. You just called it a hack. Works perfectly fine by itself. Why do you have to hack it?
It's not, I mean, like, okay, so basically, if you have a micro USB cable, you can use that and plug it in. If you don't have the proprietary connector, you can just use a micro USB cable and it will transfer at slower speeds. But I mean, at least it works.
At least it works. Risk of electric shock. I do not endorse any of these hacking things. All right, Samuel, you have one more topic to go off on, and then we got to go because
that was
long.
Actually my
that was your last
comment.
one? All right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to your IKEA hack video, so get that done ASAP.
Okay.
And I appreciate your call as usual. We'll do another call and show soon.
Sure. This has been Samuel. Have a good one.
Peace out, man.
Bye.
All right. We love when Samuel calls. People are asking about the Zoom code. Unfortunately, we're running long today, so everybody who's in the waiting room already is the only calls we're going to take today, unfortunately. But we'll do another call and show in the future for sure. We do these kind of regularly, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and that you have notifications turned on so you know when we go live. But this show happens every Tuesday. So if it's not an interview show, it's a call-in show. Something to remember. I don't know how to say this name. Ekans H. Ekans.
Ekansh.
Ekansh. I like that.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate you. How are you? Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from India. How are you?
I am good. My friend just brought me a drink because I texted him and asked him to please get me a drink, and I appreciate him so much because I started the show with no drink and now we're going long and my voice and throat are getting tired. But that's not the point. Thank you for calling in. What do you got for me today? What's your question?
I'm the new user of Akai MPK Mini. And I was working on a project and I just saw your videos. I messaged you by the name listeners on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was having a problem. You can see my video?
Yes, I can see your video.
So as you can see that when we go in CC mode and you showed me that we can map it on MIDI.
Indeed.
See, yes. If I am mapping this arm record button, and like in pad 1, okay, so it's mapped over here. But when you are playing, so when you press this pad, the light kept on and it was on. When I am playing, it goes off. I don't know why.
You're gonna want to download the MPK editor. So there's software that comes with that.
Yes, I have that also.
And what you can do is you should be able to switch the function of those pads, of the CC pads, and there's modes called toggle and momentary, and you can switch what kind they are. So one will have the pad staying on, so you don't have to hold it down. The other will make it more just like momentary, like a hold it down, and yeah. I don't know exactly how to do it in the editor, but if you do it within the editor and you switch that from toggle or momentary, that will work.
Okay, so should it be in toggle or should it be in momentary?
I always mix them up, so you should try to play with either one and see which one works.
Okay, can you just give me a second? I'm opening the editor.
I'm going to let you do this off air because I have a few more questions and the show is going really long. But if you do a little bit more research on toggle or momentary, you will be able to.
I've been trying it for the whole day.
I believe you.
I saw that you were live, so that's why I'm waiting for almost an hour. It's 1 a.m. in the morning right now.
I feel you, brother.
Okay, so here it is. Where do you want me to change the setting?
I'm not 100% sure because I don't spend a lot of time in this editor, but you're looking for the toggle or the momentary settings, and that is what will help you.
Absolute and relative. Actually, the toggle the option which you are saying, that was in Akai MPK2 editor. I saw that. But in this third one, I cannot find it anywhere.
I unfortunately, my friend, do not know how to use that editor, but I appreciate you calling in. And if you can find the setting, good. It just worked out of the box. It just worked out of the box for me, but I got to move on to other calls. I'm sorry I could not answer your question. We will have we'll do a tech support Tuesday sometime in the future, but thank you for calling in. I appreciate you. All right. Last few calls here, my friend. Go ahead if anybody can help. Yes, you can post a link on how to use the editor. Anybody who can help that caller would be helpful. I try not to take too many calls that are like super like tech support heavy. But all right, we have two more calls to go. Soham is coming in hot. Here we go. Beisha will be watching this whole show, but she never calls in. What is that about? Soham, how are you?
Hi, I actually have already called, but I'm going to only take up like a minute.
Let's do it.
I had one more question. Just a quick question. What brought you down in your early stages of making music, and how'd you overcome it?
Like what made me sad? Like what made me like not motivated?
More than sad, more like what made you just like not want to do it?
What demotivates me, what makes me not want to do it, and something I like still struggle with is when my priorities get messed up. So my priorities, we talked about this earlier in the show. Priorities always got to be like happiness and being proud of what you do, like you being proud of what you do. Which is devoid of like, it doesn't matter like what anybody else thinks. But of course, we don't live in a bubble. So, people accepting what we do is a big part of like the human brain. And as long as I always am very honest with myself and I bring myself back to the mindset of the North Star being, am I proud of what I just did? Am I happy? Is this the best that I could do in this moment? If I can answer yes to all those questions, then I feel happy. What demotivates me is when I do not have that as my North Star and when my mind goes more towards data and likes and listens and views. So I very much try to not think about, of course I think about those things, but I don't have them be a priority. I don't have them be the North Star. So like that, but that took time and that took discipline to learn, right? So demotivating would be like when I didn't have the discipline to have that North Star to reassess myself and say, no, that's not my priority. My priority is, am I happy and am I proud of what I do? So as I learned that discipline more and more, I became happier and I became more motivated and et cetera, et cetera. I guess I've talked so much about that today. I feel like I don't want to belabor it too much, but like when you focus on the wrong things, that is the most demotivating thing. When you focus on how people perceive your work and when you focus on like analytics and numbers, even though a lot of those things are very important for getting your brand out there and getting who you are as an artist out there, when it becomes the marker of success versus happiness, that is what's going to demotivate you the most. So just give yourself that reality check and never let yourself, lose sight of the real deal, which is like you want to be somebody who can create stuff, but be happy. You don't want to be somebody who can create stuff and get a ton of listeners and a ton of fans, but be unhappy. We've seen that play out. We've seen tons of artists, unfortunately struggle with mental health to the most extremes, and they build themselves up to have these great careers. And you see these amazing, amazing stars, and some end up like with huge drug problems. Some end up taking their own lives. And it's very, very sad. But you look at them and on the surface, they're so successful. So what does that tell us? That tells us when we specifically fight for success and forget about our own happiness and forget about our own mental health, and we only strive for high numbers, big success, huge audiences, tons of listens, selling records, selling products. When we focus on those things, it makes our mental health matter so much less, and then that causes problems for us in the future. Wouldn't you rather have a slightly less successful life, slightly less successful work, but also be happy? Like, wouldn't you rather find a groove where you know what enough is? There's like a Kurt Vonnegut story where he's talking with another author, and they're in a mansion. They go to like this big fancy mansion, and they're both authors. And they're looking around at this millionaire's mansion, and the author turns to Kurt Vonnegut and goes, I have something this millionaire will never have, or I know something this millionaire will never know. And Kurt goes, what could that possibly be? What could you have that this millionaire in this giant mansion doesn't have? And the other author goes, I know what enough is. So if you know what enough is, if what enough is to you is I'm proud of what I do, I'm happy, I can put food on my table, I can put a roof over my head, then you have enough. Then anything on top of that is gravy. Like anything on top of that is like extra, and it's great. But are the 1,000 extra YouTube subscribers going to make you happy? Like I hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers. It didn't make me happier. I was a proud moment. I felt proud and I felt good about this community. But in general, it does not make me a happier person. It does not give me happiness. It makes me proud. I'm excited. It's cool. But it does not make me happy. What makes me happy is when I'm sitting at my computer making music that I really like. What makes me happy is when I'm sitting having conversations with my friends and family that I love. What makes me happy is having the freedom to control my time. Those are all things that make me happy. So it's that. I know the question was about what demotivated you, and I guess I talked about the opposite of that. But what demotivates you for real is, having the wrong markers of success and not knowing what enough is.
Yeah. Like I've noticed there's only a very few type of YouTube producers, some who are chasing fame and others who are like genuinely excited about what they're doing and like actually are enjoying the process within rather than just going for subscribers.
Yep. The process is what matters the most for sure. Thank you for calling in.
Yep. Thanks so much again.
Have a good one.
All right. Yep. Have a good one.
All right. We got one more call today. Unfortunately, I know some other people jumped in the waiting room, but we're running a little too long today. We're running on 2 hours, and I'm going to get Jay in here. Jay is going to be our last call. If I didn't get to your call today, I apologize. We will do call-in shows in the future. We usually go for about an hour. We're rolling up on 2 hours. So I appreciate you all. Thank you. Hello, Jay. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, what's going on, TAETRO? Hey, no worries.
Chillin', you're our last call of the day. And I know you've got something good for us.
Oh, yeah. Well, just a couple questions. First off, my computer broke, and I was wondering if you could tell me how to fix it real quick. Yeah, I have it's kind of interesting. So I've been listening to a lot of live producers. One of them is specifically Neon Vines.
She's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
You watched the interview, right? I would hope.
I did. I totally watched the interview. I was glad to catch the end of it live, but I had so many questions that I wanted to put in the chat.
So many questions.
One of them, I'm not 100% sure what MIDI controller she's using, but it's black. It looks like a keyboard.
Yeah, it looks like this, which if you're watching the stream, you'll have to see it.
It's
a C-board. Oh, you can't watch. It's the C-board.
Yes. So I'm so fascinated by the Seaboard, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just break down and get one. Hopefully there's a Black Friday's deal that comes along.
Yeah, I don't know if Rolly's doing a Black Friday deal, but so Neon Vines uses like the long Seaboard, like the proper Seaboard. If you want to get for a little less money, there's the Seaboard Block, which is what I have, which is like a 25 or 24 key version, very small, and it's cheaper.
And I think that would work.
Yeah,
I think that would work, and it kind of goes with my next question. So, a lot of Disney movies. Okay,
I like where this is going.
Yeah, they capture in essence, especially the musicals, like Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Mulan.
Yep.
When you listen to some of the music, it has like, I don't know how to necessarily explain it, but it has like this.
It emotionally moves you.
Right. It's that, but it also has this authentic like sound to it, and it comes from different instruments that are culturally appropriate for the movies. For example, you have Under the Sea, you have the steel pan.
Yeah, and marimba and all that good stuff. Yep.
Right. Mulan, you have like the bamboo flutes and that. The Middle Eastern, I don't quote me on Aladdin, but you can hear like the music. Like I have a really good singer I like to reference. I can't remember his name. It's Chibi. He did a song with Sting called Desert Rose.
Cool.
And I listened to his music, and it's like, it's so awesome and so impactful, but it's just instruments that I haven't heard before. And I guess my question is, kind of like Indian music, the arrangements and the execution is a bit different from like American type music.
Of course, every culture has that. Like there's such.
And if I wanted to include some of that culturistic value, that sound, those instruments.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if it really matters that I have to capture those same timings or utilize the actual melodic, ups and downs that music value adds to it, or do I just, would I offend somebody, I guess, if I just use that sound or that tone? Or would it be appropriate to try to do more than, just include an instrument?
That is such a good, important question that I don't know if I can fully answer. I mean, like, everybody watching the stream looking at me, like, knows that I'm a white dude who grew up in suburban, Massachusetts, like whatever. So I'm like the least from being a, let's say this, like pretty much I grew up around all white people and I'm very like not a lot of cultural diversity, I will say.
Sure. Absolutely.
So like, I think that this is really, really important, especially when it comes to music, because you don't want to cross the line of appropriation. Like we don't want to just take something from somebody else's culture and make something with it for the sake of what?
Exactly.
For the sake of ourselves, for the sake of profit, whatever, which is somewhere where like Disney can get in a lot of hot water. Like if they hire actors that are not of the specific culture or the specific race that the character is supposed to be depicted. And like with Aladdin, actually Aladdin is like pretty problematic, the original, because what you have is like this depiction of Middle Eastern culture that is not very good and not very nice, because you have the main characters who you're supposed to sympathize with and feel good about, who have very like Anglo, very Western features. Meanwhile, you have Jafar, who has like a very elongated face and like larger nose, and he's playing like he's supposed to look evil, but really they're using exaggerated traits of people from a region. So, but that extends to music. That is all to say, like.
Absolutely.
That extends to music for sure. And I say the most respectful way to like go about it is to learn as much about that culture as possible. And also like always be transparent about the fact of what you're referencing. Like if you're going to put out a piece and you're very inspired by like Indian ragas or something like that, like take the time to like really study those and figure out what makes those special and what makes that music distinct. And it's okay to pull in different influences from different cultures, but always know and have a respect for where it comes from. I think what's most dangerous is getting a cocktail party knowledge of different cultural music and just saying, yeah, I'll just grab a little bit of this. It's like you're kind of just running into the store and stealing something and running out. You know what I mean? But if you go and you spend time in the store and look at all the products and really understand the brand, of course, now I'm like doing like a metaphor of like go understand that music.
No, I totally understand.
And your music will be stronger. Like the more time you spend, like I talk so much crap about my college, but my college had a very good world music program where I was doing like African drum and dance. We had steel pan orchestra. There were trips to Ghana where people would go study in Ghana. Like it wasn't just like show up and learn drumming from a couple white guys. It was actually like, no, like our drumming instructor was a professional drummer from Ghana, like came right there and then would bring classes of students to Ghana to learn. So like specific things like that are very, very authentic. I think that's important. But like I said, I don't have all the answers, but as long as you are like respecting the culture that something came from, being transparent about the fact that you are borrowing and learning from another culture. So always like referencing it in any kind of description or something, and then taking the time to actually like immerse yourself and learn what specifically makes that special. So you can have an educated conversation when somebody asks you. So you don't just say like, oh yeah, I just grabbed this like Middle Eastern flute because I thought it sounded cool. You can say like, no, I grabbed this flute because I really like the way it sounds in this type of very specific middle like Iranian music, and like et cetera, et cetera. Like you can have an educated conversation about it, and you can actually, bring some knowledge to it. So that's the most I can say.
So I think I'm on the same page. I'm actually I'm taking the concept as appropriately as I can. So yes, it's very much as important to have, especially if you're going to use an instrument that's from a different culture. It's very important to have at least some knowledge or something of why, or that you can explain, or that you can share an aspect of using that instrument. So yeah, I absolutely get that. Now for my follow-up that goes back to Neon Vine. So on the C-board, I think it's called, there's a lot of instruments that I can't necessarily play with the Akai MPK.
Absolutely.
And when I say that, I mean, you can hit the keys, hit the pads, and get the notes, but specifically how she used the C-board and wiggles her fingers.
Yeah, you get that microtonality, which we don't have in Western music, really. That exists in so many other cultures.
And to use something like the bamboo flute, or to use like a string instrument from, let's say, 13th century Japan or something, to actually capture that essence and try to utilize that music tone or sound, you have to take the whole note, not just a ding ding. You have to bring in that essence of that note. And so I just wanted to say that because I believe one of the callers said it was about which one's better, or which one would you choose on a desert island. And you're absolutely right. Your response is it's kind of difficult, especially it's intimidating walking into any store or even online and looking at all these different MIDI keyboards or different digital instruments.
And I worry about it too. I worry about it too from the perspective of people show up to my channel and see all the crap that I have behind me and go like, oh, I need all that. And that's not the case at all. So I just hope people can draw that line in the sand, because you can walk into the music store and say, wow, look at all this cool stuff. I need all of it. When like, meanwhile, like, no, you don't. You need like one tool to do it all.
Absolutely. There's the C-board, I think would be amazing with string digital sounds.
Yes. Well, that's the thing about it.
Type sounds.
Yeah, that's the thing about it too. It's not just great for those like microtonalities and instruments that we don't use a lot in the West, but it's also good for just getting a natural acoustic sound. Like you said, for strings, like natural vibrato, I'm not getting that on an Akai MPK Mini. I would have to spend ages automating that. Meanwhile, on my C-board block, I can literally just do it with my hands. Or like with a flute, like applying more pressure and sliding up to push more air through the flute, unless I'm using a wind controller, which which who uses a wind controller besides Daltric?
Yeah.
I can't get that. So, but with a C-board block, I can. So the C-board, like, especially like, I'll say this too, like with gear, people struggle with like, do I choose this? Do I choose that? It sounds like I say this a lot about things that I want or that I get really passionate about. Like if it calls to you, like I just bought a minivan, and this very specific van called to me, and I said, I need to buy this minivan. So it called to me and I did it and I got it. Like if you're feeling this way about the C-board or the C-board block, and you're having like the ideas are already happening in your head, like it's already sparking inspiration in your head before you even have it, like it's calling to you, like you should totally go for it. Like that should be the deciding factor for people, like regardless of whatever a YouTube reviewer says or whatever the ratings say. Like if something calls to you, you're gonna be better off just making the decision, getting it and doing something with it rather than agonizing over a decision, you know?
Right, or impulsively just buying a bunch of random things that
because they're rated well. Because they said they were good or something, you know?
Oh yeah. Man, hey, I appreciate it. I really do. Real quick, a question. Do you incorporate, so I know you had a sample pack that you released that I got, and it's an amazing sample pack.
I'm glad you like it.
And one thing that really drove me just insane about it was the ocarina.
The ocarina. Yeah.
Ocarina. Oh my goodness. Like I haven't heard that since I played
Legends of Zelda.
What was it? Zelda. Yeah, years ago. But then I had an opportunity to actually play around with it in the sample pack, which I implore everybody, absolutely get the sample pack and listen to some of these things. You did, and I think I commented, you did an 808 drum with a box. And
yeah.
But
it's so funny.
It's like listening to whether it's sample packs that you get or whether it's just watching a YouTube video of a different culture and different music and how the instruments played or the melodic value. I guess I wanted to ask you, do you take inspiration from a specific culture, and is there one that you lean towards that you favor in a way that you utilize in your music more? Instruments wise, no. Well, really, I take a lot from the culture I grew up in, Western culture. I don't draw a lot from world music cultures because, well, I actually don't have a reason. I don't think I kind of need to have a reason, but I think it's just upbringing, right? I come from rock music, I come from pop music, which it's country music.
Like, so I come from that, like, especially harmony wise and structure wise, I definitely take a lot from that. But also, one thing beyond just the ocarina and like instruments from different cultures, I get excited about sounds that are not musical or that might not be perceived as musical. So whether I'm walking in the wood, like last time I went home to the East Coast, like I heard crickets for the first time in a while, and I was just like, I didn't realize how much that sound meant to me until I was away from it and came back to it for a bit. But it's also like, now I might sample that and turn that into some kind of drone or put some effects on it and create something with it. Or like I might bang some sticks together or smash a rock on a table and it might make a certain kind of sound, So like, I know that's not the 100% the question about.
No, that's actually, you're right. You're taking something that, like you said, like the crickets, like you can remember those from what you say, the West Coast, and now you're on the East Coast and you don't hear those as well. But then when you hear them, it like sparks an inspiration or you want to utilize that. Well, I think it's the same thing as whether it's world music or just, samples of something that you hear every day.
For sure.
That's a very good way to explain it, man.
Yeah, I've always been drawn to that. The sounds of the world around us. I think I've always been drawn to that. So it's the same thing, like to bring it full circle about like what you were saying about like Disney music, about the way it connects with people, about the way they grab specific instruments from specific cultures to represent, wherever the story is taking place. Like that exists for me in just sound and just soundscapes. Like I live in downtown LA, like it has a very specific soundscape. I used to live in like a much more suburban environment that has a very specific soundscape. So the same way that music can make us feel a certain place, sound can, but then how can I fuse those two so that I'm not only using sound and but I can also use sound and music to transport me to a specific place, and that can be done in so many ways, like we've already talked about. So many possibilities, and I'm glad we're living in the time that we are now, because we have so many tools to be able to do that in so many ways.
To mimic and kind of give us an idea of what we heard when we grew up, because the only place we ever heard the steel pan was on Little Mermaid,
right?
Or the only places you ever heard bamboo flutes was if you were watching, Prince of Egypt, or if you were listening to Mulan or something. Right now, as adults, some of these tools, man, you're right. How we can mimic and imitate the sound, and I think it's more important to at least have a conversation about the culture ready.
For
Someone
sure.
ask you as an artist, where'd your inspiration come from this? Or, well, I just heard it on a YouTube video and I played it. Well, there's not much substance there.
Yeah, and to even to have the humbleness so that when somebody from that culture comes to correct you and comes to say or even just puts you in check and says, hey, like, I feel like you're appropriating this a little bit, like being humble enough to be somebody that's outside that culture to accept that, be like, okay, like, you're the boss, like that what you say goes. Or conversely, to be able to have the conversation, people say, I really like that you use this style, whatever, and be like, yeah, Absolutely. Well, you should check out this artist who's like an actual artist from like that culture or whatever, that I drew inspiration from. Like, to be able to reference that too is very, very powerful to bring awareness to artists from a specific culture that might not have the biggest platform, or that people just might not have heard of in general.
Absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate you taking my call. I know you had a long show today.
Yeah.
Man, but this was a very, very good show. Shout out to Samuel, my guy, always there.
He's always there, for sure. Jay, thank you so much for calling in today.
Hey, no worries. You have a nice one, man.
You too. Enjoy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. You as well.
Have a good one, my friend.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for tuning in today. This has been a great show. I'm kind of slumping in my chair because we went for 2 hours, but it was a really good show. That's why I kind of wanted to keep going. And it's been a while since we've had a long call-in show. So I hope you did enjoy. Please let me know in the chat if you did enjoy the call-in show today, because we can do these more often. We can schedule them so you all know when you can call in. But yeah, thank you. I feel like I learned a lot today from the callers. So hopefully you learned a lot today from the answers and from the conversations. It would be great to know. This stream is going to be up for you to watch in its entirety on both my channel and 343 Labs channel. If you all did take some value in this and you're in my chat right now, it would mean the world to me if you opened a new tab and you went to youtube.com/343 Labs and you just subscribed over there. 343 Labs is an electronic music school. We have online classes where it's not like you download a bunch of videos and you learn from like a person you can't interact with. No, it's like 12 session courses where you learn with an expert instructor, whether that's like a touring musician, somebody that's toured the world, put out major releases, or a Beatport charting producer, or an Ableton certified trainer. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's a huge sale going on right now, 40% off at 343labs.com for these courses. There's payment plans, so you can pay for it over time. But now is the time, if you're thinking about, like, especially like the new year, if you want to learn mixing and mastering, if you want to learn Ableton, beginner, intermediate, advanced, same thing with Logic, beginner, intermediate, advanced, synthesis and sound design. These are all different courses, and the instructors are amazing. They all are doing shows on 343 TV, which is why I asked you to subscribe to that YouTube channel over there. But yeah, this was a great show. I appreciate you all. 343labs.com. The link is in the description. So at least go check it out. It would mean a lot if you not only subscribed to that channel, but also just looked at the website and looked at the classes and started thinking about like, could I benefit from a 12-week, 12-session course? Think about it. I appreciate everybody who called in today. Shout out to all you folks. Unfortunately, I can't do shout outs for everybody in chat, but I see you all. I'm very grateful for you all. We're going on what? We're going on 2 hours, 10 minutes. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to have a Black Friday video up soon, either Thursday or Friday, for you all to check out some deals and some deals that are relevant to me and what I do. So stay tuned for that. If you didn't watch the latest video about making beat stutters, go check that out on my channel as well. It's the latest video. And I'm working on some content in my new MIDI van. So stay looking out for that. A lot of videos coming in December. That's what I'll say. So make sure notifications are turned on for both channels so you don't miss them. And it really helps the channel out a lot when you all show up when a video gets posted, like within the first hour. If you give it a like, if you watch it, if you leave a comment, it helps the channel out a lot. So if you're taking value, there's all these things that you can do for basically for free to help out. And I appreciate you all. YouTube memberships coming soon after Thanksgiving. All new stream assets coming soon after Thanksgiving. Stay tuned for that. I appreciate you all. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.